Hi, and welcome to Dawlish Warren Through the Transition Years. We start in 1959, when Churchwood and Collett locos were in charge and the Top Expresses all chocolate and cream livery. At this time, the local pickup goods was very much part of the scene. This one is pulling into the platform line at Dawlish Warren. British Standard steam locos could also be seen. The local trains in the area usually ran between Paignton and Exeter. They would normally be hauled by a large prairie, but in this case all we have is a small prairie. The area just to the left of the platform is a rail maintenance depot, and you can see the Estuary and Exmouth in the distance. By this time most coaches were in maroon livery, but the odd crimson and cream coach still survived. On the western region, freight trains were generally hauled by 28XX locos. This fully fitted goods train consists mainly of vans. These vans are of slightly different types, which I think is typical of the era, and at the end of the train there is a Great Western towed brake van. Around 1960, the new warship class diesel locos took over the Top Express trains. I'm pretty sure that auto trains didn't run along the seawall. This is just a bit of modellist licence on my part. In 1961, the first Western locos appeared. The first maroon examples had a yellow buffer beam rather than a yellow warning panel. By this time, DMUs were in charge of the local services, but there weren't enough of them, so it was not unusual to see a Class 22 with a couple of coaches standing in for a DMU. This is the less well-known estuary end of the layout. Milk and China clay were two important specialist types of freight arising from Cornwall. The milk is hauled by a Western in standard maroon livery and typically has the brake van somewhere in the middle of the milk train. The clayliner train is headed by a green Western. I think there were just 5 Westerns painted in this livery. The clayliner train ran from Cornwall to Stoke-on-Trent. It used 5 plank wagons with a 10-foot wheelbase. My clayliner train is made from Pico 5 plank wagon kits. By this time, most freight trains had BR standard brake vans rather than the Great Western Toads. By 1963, pretty much all Western Region diesels had received the yellow warning panels. The chocolate and cream coach sets had been broken up on orders from up high, and so odd chocolate and cream coaches could be found mixed in with maroon sets. The Class 22 is hauling a short engineers train. By 1967-68, the new blue era was being applied to everything. Here is a drone's eye view of a Western in full flight. A few Western region locos received blue livery with small yellow warning panels, and of course around this time most trains had a mixture of blue and grey and maroon coaches. In 1968, double-headed warships were used for some of the crack expresses. Having 4,000 horsepower available meant they could climb the Devon hills very quickly, and also accelerate well from stationary. Warships didn't appear in maroon livery until late 1965. In the summers of the late 1960s, just over 20 trains per day stopped at Dawlish Warren station. In contrast, the January to May 2021 timetable shows over 40 trains stopping each day. By the late 1960s, more brush type 4s, or Class 47s as we now know them, were appearing, and the corporate blue livery was being applied to more locos. We now move forward to the late 70s/early 80s. All the diesel hydraulics are gone. The milk trains to Kensington ceased in 1981. The guard now travels in the rear cab of the loco, and there is no need for a brake van in the train. We now move forward to the mid to late 1980s. The Class 37 is William Cookworthy in Cornish Railways livery. It's very probably taking the clay hoods for scrap. The trains that saved British Rail, the HSTs. It is still possible to see the odd freight train through Dawlish Warren. This 33 is hauling a short freight train west. The first three vans are almost certainly heading for the naval dockyard at Plymouth, and the blue and silver wagons are CDAs heading towards Cornwall. They will replace the Clayhood wagons. No view of Devon in the 1980s would be complete without some Class 50 action. This video is nearly at its end, so thank you for watching. I leave you sitting in the sunshine on a grassy bank overlooking the Exe estuary.